Yo, what up? It's your boy, and we're back at it again. Well, Strap-in is gonna be a long one, but today we're gonna go over all the leveling spots in this game. Every single one of them. Before we actually jump into the spots, I'm gonna go over some things that you need to know to like maximize how much levels you're getting and how much experience you're getting, most of all. The main thing that I'm gonna have to go over, like, before we start, right, is use the PvP mode if you just want to level up, just want to grind levels. There's these two swords here that you can use. The white one is for regular PvP mode that everyone can be targeted by, and the orange one is for the guild, that guild members are excluded from PvP battles. There isn't really much difference between each one you use, it just changes the color of your name. But when the PvP mode is active, you get this buff that gives you 10% experience, so you will level up a bit faster. The second thing you need to know is that there is a buff for experience when you're on a party. You do get like 1.5 times the experience, but you should be aware that for most of the spots, like, you're not gonna get very fast kills if you're on a party. So most people just tend to like level alone instead. The third thing you need to know is that, like, your level matters. Same as, well, drop theory goes for this game. If your level's above the enemy, there's a penalty, like every level for experience and every 5 levels for drops that you get less. Meaning that if you're 10 levels above an enemy, you probably will not get any good drops anymore. But for experience, you can probably push a little bit on that limit, especially if you're trying to hit the last final levels. Most of the good spots you are like fighting enemies under level 95. One thing that I need to add here is that different Digimon gain different amounts of experience each battle, and they have different amount of experience required to level up. That does not matter like a lot, because they should level up at around the same time. It is never like a super huge difference, and by the time you're doing late game stuff, they usually catch up. As far as, you know, when you go to thinking which Digimon should I fight to level up, I would always recommend the strongest option available to you. And that's because, well, as you're gonna see with this battle, fighting level 60 enemies, for example, it's gonna net me around like 2000 experience or something around that ballpark. You see that I just gained like 1818 experience. And now, if I fight this level 85 enemy, for example, I got 2 enemies, which is really good. Just like the previous example. And you're gonna be able to see that I'll get like a little bit more, but not too much, just a little bit more. 2600 experience, right? And to drive the point home, I'm gonna fight like an enemy that's just 1 level higher than that one. Let's see, for this fight I got 3 enemies, so it should be a bit higher, but not too much. The values that you gain, they can vary a little. Like, it's not always going to be the same amount of experience per battle, but there is, like, each enemy has its own average, right? And the point that I'm making here is that the higher level the enemy you're fighting, the higher the average of experience you can be expected to gain from it, right? So logically, you would also, like, you would think that fighting the highest level enemy possible would be better for you. And this links into the next thing I want to talk about as well, which is enemy groups. When fighting enemies, you will see that the enemy, like, you can get from 1 to 3 enemies, right? And that does actually change something about the battle. Like, of course, more enemies do give you more experience on average, but additionally, with groups of 1 enemy or 2 enemies, there's added effects that can happen sometimes. With 1 enemy, there's a chance that the fight drops you increased amount of bits from it, which should be from like 1 to 10 times the regular amount of one enemy. So you will get a lot of bits like suddenly. Like on this fight, for example, I just got 13,000 bits. And when I did the first fight here, you can actually look at the chat right here. Let me show it to you guys. I fought 3 enemies and I got 4,000 bits, right? And here it was 1 enemy, 1,100 experience, and 13,000 bits. And with 2 enemies, there's a chance that a similar thing happens, but with experience. So you can expect to get a lot more experience out of one battle. I'll put an example of a fight that I'll get with the experience amount, in case this one doesn't give it. After that, we gotta talk about items. Okay, what items should you buy when you're trying to level up? We're gonna start out by talking to the mushroom out here, or trusty merchant that never lets us down. And listen, the cheapest items are the better. Like they are better. They're just better. Yeah, like there's going to be some math going on screen right now, and just notice how much more healing items you can afford if you just buy a bunch of the cheaper ones, right? You should probably also get a few of the revival chips, but the EVP chips, these are a little bit of a doozy. Like I wouldn't recommend them if you're low on money or if you're just starting out. I would say probably don't buy them at all, but they can help because you will eventually run out of EVP, like maybe multiple times even, on the journey to get a Digimon to max level. After that, there's one little trick you should know regarding the healing items, is that you can place them on the quick slots, right? And you are very much allowed to spam them. And you might be wondering, what do I mean by spamming them? Take this for example. If you like grab any item, just drag it to your quick slots, they're gonna be registered there, and you can just press it to heal instead, right? And go one by one. That's not very practical or fast. But something else you can do is just press the button and then start clicking at the bottom Digimon or any other Digimon at the same time as you press the button. And that way you use items a lot faster. The next thing you need to know is the formation you're gonna be using. Like the Digimon you're leveling, it should always be behind. If you're leveling 3 Digimon at once, which isn't necessarily recommended most of the time, but you can do, like, can easily do, is like always have a tank Digimon in the front, someone that can survive and take hits. If you're just leveling a weak one, make sure that the weaker Digimon is always in the back row, okay? The back row is a bit safer. You're very less likely to get hit there. As you all should or should not know, when you are defeated in battle, you do lose a little bit of experience, but it's usually around 4% or so of your level. And yeah, later on that can be meaningful, but early on it should be negligible. But most importantly, and this goes to the very first of the spots that we can go to, remember the Chumon. Remember them. They're homies, okay? Let's go see them. So starting out, there's no reason to not level up your Digimon here, like especially if you just want to get to level 15. These level 22 Chumons are like the easiest thing to kill ever. You get more battles with them if there's less people around, so do look around, like do browse the channels a little bit. I'm also gonna put on the map like markings of other places they can find them, because there is quite a few spots for these Chumon. Do not be fooled by the blob of people that you usually see here, because this is just the starting spot. So you can also recover your EVP by just doing battles here, and it is like very good that you come back here because it takes around 15 to 16 minutes to fill up your EVP while hanging out. And until you get enough money to buy the chips regularly, yeah, there's no other way around it. From here, there's another Chumon spot that you can go visit, and you'd be surprised about this one. So we're here on Gear Savannah. You already know who it is. You're probably been here once or twice. This guy needs no introduction. You know that there's a Chumon spot over there for the small ones, but here it's a big one. This big one is level 30. And what this means for you is that you can stay here until level 40 or 41 on this guy. As since he is aggressive, he will keep attacking you until that level. As you can see, he does have a bit more health, so you might have to, like, if you're just starting out and you want to do the spot, be aware that you might have to fight a little. It may not be, like, super free right away. But as you might come to learn, a lot of the spots in this game aren't really super free. From here on out, we're gonna have a few more spots that are beginner focused. Like in your first run through the story, you probably want to hit those spots. And we'll start with the next map, which is the Infinity Mountain. I'll take you exactly to where the spot is. It's not super hard to find, but you need to keep attention to the enemy level, because if the enemies are different level, they have different stats. And usually the weakest one is easier to kill. The one we're looking for here is the Bakemon level 37. As a beginner, you probably want to hit that, not only because it's a good farming spot, but it also, like, it also gives you good experience while you're getting the drops. So you pass the 41s and then they just show up 37s right here. Now, you can stay on these guys until the level 47. I'm not sure if you should push that far. You can if you want to. But if you ever get stuck around these part of the story, I highly recommend you do. Also, you can, every time you get one of these detectors, be sure to sell them. Or just use them later on, whenever you're done with the story or have a proper team for it. They have good drops in them. And for this part of this map, there isn't really another, like, super good spot. There's a few on the other sides of it, so let's just go over there. One of those spots that you could use, but wouldn't super recommend, is the level 55 Seedramons. Those kind of work sometimes. So after you go through the Seedramons, the whole maze, you can also hit up the Ikakumon 51. These are a bit more tanky, but just like the Seedramon, they have good drops. And they're level 51, so they will take you up to 61. Same goes for these guys, will take you up to 67 or so. Gonna push it. Yukidaramons are very popular for farming later on. And if you keep going through this path, there's like some more options. Basically, these are for helping you reach ultimate level when you're starting out, or just farm later on. An option you have that is used to be very popular in the times of old is these Goburimon level 53. You can fight them easily as well. And they would take you up to 63. There's a little caveat with this one though, that sometimes there can be an Ogremon in the middle of the battle. That, like, he just shows up as an extra encounter. So, you know, be careful with that. But besides that, yeah, it's fine. Absolutely fine. And the last spot in this mountain that I would recommend is all the way up there, which will be these level 60 Dark Tyrannomons. They can take you up to level 70. The main reason people fight them is for crafting drops, generally, but, you know, if you're stuck, they can push you up to level 70. Now, reaching through the desert area, this map kind of ramps up the difficulty a bit because they expect you to use 3 ultimates here. But if you're just starting out, these Gazimon level 48, they are very weak. They're surprisingly weak for where they are in the game. Like these guys, bro, they kind of just disappear sometimes. Especially if you have vaccine Digimon, like they really don't last. And they can be a good option. Now, but after this really funny thing is gonna happen where, like, the story quests get really difficult and there isn't really many, like, awesome spots to level up. So you're gonna have to push through this map and, you know, I've already given you spots that can take you around to level 70, so don't be afraid of going back to those, even if it slows down your progression a little, or the side quests. On this beautiful map called the Dark Castle Valley, you're gonna have to push through here. Okay, this map is gonna test you a little, especially if you're just doing main quests. Like, if you're doing side quests, you probably are keeping up with the level curve just fine. You're doing everything. As soon as you get here, I recommend that you push through the main quests as much as you can, because one of the better grind spots of the game is coming up here, and it is important to talk about it in length. That's why I'm actually taking the scenic route to, you know, actually get there. And you can follow me if you want to, but the reason why I made such a strong point about the quests is because this one is actually locked behind a side quest. Now, when you walk in here, the Otamamon and the Gekomon, they are good, but they don't show up unless you do the side quest that happens down there. And if you go up, you guys see that there's these Chumon and a lot of people here. That's because this is the spot I was talking about. The level 70 Chumons, they are pretty good. People farm them for money. But when you're first time around, you're gonna have to do a quest, I believe, with this guy to defeat a bunch of Chumon and actually unlock the spawns on the hallways. And these guys on the hallways are going to be your best option to level up. Like, they can take you around level 80 without any problems, to be honest. But especially if you're first starting out and you need a few levels to boost you, like to get you through this part of the story, yeah, this is gonna be the spot to go to. Unfortunately, there isn't really any faster option, especially not when you're going through the first time, like through your first story run. You know, you can't really speed that up too much, besides quests, of course. So this spot will have to do. From here on out, all the spots that I mention here, like all the spots that I bring up, they depend on you having a team that can fight on them. Because they are good on advantage, and only the final one of them can really work for everything. So we'll go through it in steps. The very first one is right as soon as you get to the campsite. It will be the Mon 79. These little guys right here. As you imagine, they can take you up to level 89 without too many problems, though I wouldn't really stay until 89. I would go here if I have a Digimon that's like low 60s and I want to get him to level 70 or 75 or so. Probably would do that on him. Especially because he does hit like reasonably hard if you don't have an advantage. Now, on the second map, the Hill of Light, there's a very important spot, especially if you're on the late game and you have like Lady Devimon or even an Etamon that is strong, both on their area skills. I'm gonna look if there's anyone here so I can show you the stats specifically, but I used to level up here a lot before we got the Odaiba Part 2 expansion, and it was quite a nice spot fighting this Meramon 83. The only thing for it is that you need to have a very strong... wait, let me see if I have anyone that has the Digimon actually invested on. You probably do, right? There we go. You need to have them with high strength and their third skill leveled up so you can kill all 3 enemies at once. With the area skills. And this is like the cookie cutter method of bring 2 strong Digimon and take one with you to level up. You can do that here. Since you are just using like a already invested Digimon for this method, it does make you some bits to just stay here, like because you are really just using an area skill over and over and winning, right? Moving on from here, would you be interested in some more of this? And what I mean by that is, well, now on this map, there is a bit of a divide here. Some people use these Blossomons for farming, but you can also level up on them. And you can use either Lady Devimon, or the Etamon, or the Cannon Beamons. Cannon Beamons are easier, but I'm gonna show you what I mean. these enemies, since they're level 85, they can lead you up to level 95, but it will be very slow because they don't give too much experience. One cool thing that you can do though is that you can use your area skills to kill 3 enemies, or the single target skills to kill 2 enemies. This was the area skill example. It's what they use for farming basically, because if you have 3 of those 3 Lady Digimon or Atamon, you kill them in 1 turn. The best way to do it is going to be with the Cannon Beamons. 1182 strength is what they need, and 324 speed, I believe, is the minimum. But if you got the Cannon Beamon set up, then just do this. Go. Pew. And that's 1. Pew. That's 2. And you will get hit once if there's 3 enemies, but if you got like a champion Digimon around level 50 or so, they can survive, so free experience, I guess. The main reason why I bring this as a possible leveling spot is because this place is if you want to level up and make money at the same time. There's another example of that a bit in the future, like a few minutes into this video, but I wanted to get the idea understood here because it is something that people do sometimes. Like, if you don't have an optimal setup for leveling up, sometimes you may opt instead to just, like, instead of just leveling, try to farm while you level up someone. And for the next spot, this is my actually favorite spot and the most recommended one for all players. As you can see, there's a lot of people here. Like, this is... I'm recording this quite early, so it's, you know, the peak of the Korean time zone here, like 7 PM for them. And they are leveling here. Why is that? Is because there's a lot of Digimon. I'm gonna show a few of the Digimon here. That if you just level their 3rd skill and give them like 50% or so strength, they will just one-shot. They just will. They will one-shot. The Bakamon 86 are the weakest enemy, but also the easiest to kill out of the late game options. So you can stay here from like literally any level up to level 95. It is not a problem at all. So yeah, without any problem at all, you can push to the max level here. And you can bring as many new Digimon as you like. And since you are just one-shotting, like, it's a low investment option. It is like the one that I recommend the most out of any spot in the game. Whichever Digimon you have, because you are gonna be getting optimal experience here, like, quite easily. And since you don't need to invest too much on a team for this spot, you can just profit, right? You can absolutely just profit here. Now, if you think the other spot is a bit too crowded for you, you know, the very next map has the Bakamon level 87, which is basically the same thing. They just give a little bit more experience and have a little bit more defenses, so you know, the bar for entry is a bit higher, but not too much. Not too much different. Like, if you want an example, here's the stats of the Digimon that I'm using, and they're not super high. Their skills are level 10, but if they were like level 3 or 4, they already could just get a one-shot. Especially because those Bakamons are weak to light skills, so you know, a lot of Digimon have those easy at Ultimate. And before the level cap was increased to 95, I used to like stream here and just level up many Digimon here. So yeah, it's a good spot. Now from here, we're gonna enter some advanced grinding spot theory, okay? What I want you to keep in mind is that every spot from here on out is high investment, and it also is better, obviously. The first one is right here, the Tyrannomon level 90. You can use Lady Devimon and Atamon, but the thing with those is that you gotta have their basic attack at level 10 to guarantee that 2 of them kill 1 guy. And that's basically how rough this one is. Like, as you gotta see with my example. they barely do enough damage to knock one out, right? And that's because my Atamon is 95. Is it possible to still level up here? Absolutely. Is it worth it? I'm not sure. Because you will be like getting 3 chances to get hit, or 2 chances, I guess, for the team you're using. So, you know, they could possibly kill you depending on what Digimon you're leveling up along. And there's the easier version of this, which is much more resource intensive. Other options for this spot include the Tiger Vespamons, if you have them. Like, they are pretty good strength attackers, and they have the second skill is physical, so they can be used here. As you see, they basically one-shot. And mine are like skill level 1, so I'm basically sure they can get a one-shot if you level up their skills a little bit. And give them like a decent amount of strength. Additionally, there's like an even easier way to get this one-shot, which is the one that I use for most of my time. And you probably have seen me do this on stream, which is using the big boys, the Machindramon. An important thing to notice is that Titamon is also another Virus Digimon that can get a one-shot here at the level 90s. And yeah, Machindramon is just the option that I go with, basically because it is a relevant Digimon for a lot of content at the moment, but you wouldn't need to get this battle to go super quickly, or, you know, you're just killing one at a time and it isn't really time efficient, right? After this spot, there's a few options, but like anything beyond here, I would only recommend that you use it to get you for like from 90 to 95, unless you have the like one-hit setups that I mentioned before at these Tyrannomon level 90. But you should know that there are options. They're just never going to be as easy as going to the Bakemon 86, which is why, you know, people still flood that space a lot. As far as leveling up goes, though, these Tyrannomon 93 are where it's at. They are like the best spot experience hour wise. You do need Virus Digimon here with good physical attacks to like deal decent damage. So this is a good spot to hit level 95 as well, especially if you have a Virus team. If you have Machindramon, if you have 2 Machindramon or just 1, either or, it is going to be the best spot in the game for you. And this kinda does it for all the grinding spots that I've known, seen, or heard of in all my time playing this game. Now, one thing to note is that you should try to look for experience buffs and like experience events whenever they come up. Those will speed up your time a lot, and don't forget the PvP mode, please. Also, do be aware that people can sometimes throw you with PvP mode, you know, as it is the nature of this game, and there is a PvP community, right? And that's gonna do it for the leveling spots in this game. If you got any questions, if you got any, like, anything you want to mention, any other tips, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I will try to update the description of this video with more leveling spots as they come out, but yeah, for now, this is as updated as it can be. I'll hope to see you guys on the next one, where we discuss the drops and how you can make money with them. But yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye bye.